have a plan. We do have a lot of off time in hockey. Most days you're at the rink from 10 to 12. Maybe one, you get home, then you have some family time. Use some of that off time. I actually, while I was playing, I ended up getting a diploma from SAIT, doing online course and stuff. So I have a business administration diploma. It's not a degree, but eventually at the end of my North America thing, I said, hey, you know what? I didn't make the couple $1,000,000. I'm gonna have to work after. I better start figuring out. As you progress, and you're hanging out with your buddies as a hockey guy, they're all start talking about stuff they're learning in school, and you're kind of sitting there, you're like, I don't know what these guys are talking about. So I took that time to just say, instead of coming out of pro hockey with a really good Xbox score, I wanted to come out with all that spare time I had and have something that was going to help me in my next career.
We're live. Tom Mealy, Joel Broda. What's up, brother? Thanks for jumping on the podcast. We're going to have a hard-hitting podcast here. I know, Tom, you and Joel played together, but before we jump into that, or played against, I don't know. We got Canadians, we got Americans, we got everybody on this podcast. So anyway, Tom, why do we do this podcast?
Played against each other, didn't play together, but
yeah,
he probably doesn't even remember me. He was way better player.
No, I remember you were up in Alaska there playing. I think when we played against
I was
each
in Alaska.
Other, so.
You were in Bakersfield, so
yeah, you guys beat us out of playoffs. You guys had a good team that year.
Yeah, it was
Won the ship.
Good season. So he does remember me. All right, I did something right. But the reason for this cast, and Joel, thank you for coming on. The reason why we do this is to essentially give back to the game. It is a real estate podcast, but there are, a lot of ins and outs that go to this. Mostly guys transitioning out of playing and making that step into, the business world, whether it be real estate or any other walks of life. And I don't know about you, Bob and I talk about it all the time. It was tough. Making that transition. We really kind of went through a little bit of a lull, and there's a lot of guys out there that I feel if they had, this resource and this platform to kind of lean on or reach out to guys, and maybe, they see people in a market where they're living and are going to go back home after they're playing, they could, make contact with them and, start a conversation. You never know where it's going to go. So hockey world is a very small world, and yes, we want to do business with people we like, but at the same time, this is our way of kind of helping and networking and connecting individuals, whether it be in the U.S. or Canada, and essentially creating that outsource for them, which I wish we had something like this when I was done playing. So,
yep.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's why we do it, and we don't want to ride buses anymore. We want to make real money.
Some of those bus trips are funny. You can learn how to play cards. You can read. You can win some money. You can loot some money. I don't know. All good stuff.
Learn how to read the room a little bit. Yeah, not a bad thing. Yep.
That's right. Playing some pitch there, seeing who's going to be cheating, who's not cheating. Right? It's good. You got to learn how to play with teammates up. But anyway, on top of that, this podcast brought to you obviously by Pucks to Properties. That's our podcast here, but also Riva Global, which is a premier virtual assistant staffing company. A lot of obviously individuals that are on this call end up using virtual assistants. Also Perch Rock, which is our real estate investment side. So anyway, without further ado, Joel, introduce yourself, give us a 2-second rundown, and we will hammer you with questions.
No, my name's Joel Broda. I played professionally for about 12 years. I'm from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. Played in the Western League in my junior days for about 5 years. Played a little bit in the Minnesota Wild system for a few years. Bounced around in the minors for a few years in North America. Cross paths with Tom when I was playing in Bakersfield. He was in Alaska there. Played my last year in North America with the Hershey Bears in the capital system there. And then I transitioned, made the jump over to Europe and played about 7 years in Austria, cup of coffee in Germany at the very end. but kind of had a few different places. I played in the Austrian league, and now I'm a real estate agent in my hometown. I got 3 kids and a wife, high school sweetheart, and that's it. That's all for me, I guess. So
very nice. I'm sure. Well, there's a lot to unpack. It's funny. I was looking through, the places you played. We played in a lot of the same areas, right? Bolzano, Italy was in a different league when I was there. I played in Milan, Italy. You played in Castle, right? Is that right? You played in Castle?
Yeah, I played I had the cup of coffee in Castle there. Yep.
Yeah. That's actually a pretty good area. I've had a couple.
Yeah, it was nice. Castle. It was different. Yeah, it was different. Yeah. Kind of a storied franchise there. I think they've had some success and stuff. And, yeah, it was definitely a little bit different than Austria, but it was cool to see a little bit different part of the world. That's something I always enjoyed, being over there, traveling, checking out all the different spots, and it was a good spot.
So did your family go with you? Because this is important. The reason why I asked this question, because for me, no one traveled with me. I went by myself. I was in Europe for 4 years. Of course, I came back and lived in the U.S. In between years, but no one traveled with me. So how did it work with you? Did you take everyone with you, or did you not have kids at that time?
Yeah.
What did that look like?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we traveled as a family. My wife got her nursing degree, so she finished up. I think actually the year I was in Bakersfield was her first year living with me, and then we ended up getting engaged at the end of that season. And then she came with me to Hershey. We got married at the end of that season, and then she came with me every stop along the way after that to Europe. We had our first girl, our first child, Sophia. She was born in between seasons back here at home. We'd come back every summer back to our hometown here. So she was born here, and then we traveled back and forth, obviously. And then my son was actually born there. She actually kind of had a bit of a pregnancy scare with him. She was actually planning on heading home early. It was a season where I had gotten injured. I got surgery and stuff, so I was going to stay behind, do some rehab. She was going to go home early. Kind of a blessing in disguise, I guess. She had some troubles where there was a scare that the baby was going to come early, so she actually ended up staying late, which worked out the best. We were all together, and she had my son there. My first son, Jackson, was born in Dornsburg, Austria, which is kind of cool. And my third one we just had, he's about 15 months old now. We kind of had him. We kind of found out that my wife was pregnant in Castle because I was kind of getting near the end there. We had just switched to a new team, kind of didn't work out with the team we were with, which was a pretty big blow for us. We really loved it there, had a lot of good friends, and then we found out we were pregnant, and it was just like going into last fall when my son was due, my last son, Jameson, the plan was I was just going to start working in the summer, not hold back, get going and see where things were in the fall. And if I was busy, then maybe that would be the end. And if not, then maybe we'd have him here and I could go play, sign with the team in that November break over there. And then things got busy and we just ended up staying here. And I kind of said that was that and decided to just kind of keep running with the real estate thing. But, so that's kind of the breakdown how that went with the kids. But I give you a lot of credit because I don't know if I could have done it with leaving my family behind. Then I just the
reason why I asked that is a lot of people that go through this process decide to go to Europe. That's the challenge, because when you're in Europe, you don't make a shit ton of money. Let's call it what it is. Sometimes you're not making, you're making X amount of money, and then you got to come home and work. So
you're coming home and you're stuffing the coffers, and then hopefully you made enough to put a little bit away, and then get through the summer, and then you're going back. You're not retiring. You've got a second career most times after 20 years.
And not everybody has a backing from their spouse when they go over there, right? Obviously, you have an interesting story in and of itself. I know a lot of players that causes internal challenges, right, towards the end of their career. Are they going to uproot their whole family and go to Europe, or what are they going to do? Are they going to, decide to retire quicker? Did you guys have any of those challenges that you guys or discussions you guys had?
No, I mean, I've been with my wife a long time. Like I said, high school sweetheart, so she's always supported my hockey. And honestly, um, it may sound a little weird, but it was just almost never even an option that I was going to go and they were going to stay behind. It was like we were going to go together. And by the end, the last year was crazy. I think we had like 25 check bags or something like that with car seats and hockey bags and strollers and whatever. So we got pictures of us with this huge gurney of stuff overflowing, and that was the option. It wasn't really an option for me to go and her to stay behind, especially once we had kids. It was never on the table. And then actually she kind of wanted, she loved the hockey life. She loved being over there, exploring, traveling,
Good.
Having that bond with your teammates and they're kind of your family and stuff. She loved that. So she actually would have probably played again. And I guess I was the one that was more like, no, we're having a kid. I think just like we're talking about, you always have that lingering thing in the back of your mind when you're playing probably minor pro that, what am I going to do? What am I going to do next? When am I going to start? When am I going to start this next career? So the last couple of years, I just kind of kept changing teams. And for me, it was just like, you know what? After we ended that last season, I knew we were pregnant. I just really tried to dive into this real estate thing. And if I got busy, great, like I said. And then once I got busy, it was like I kind of got the hook into me and I was kind of like really into it. And it was more of a priority for me to work and chase listings and do showings and try to get deals across the finish line than even working out and training and stuff. So that kind of subconsciously probably led me down the path of, this is it. I'm okay with being done. And but to answer your question, she was super supportive, and luckily for me, it was never even really on the table whether she wanted to stay behind. So I know that is an issue for a lot of guys, and we have some friends going through that where they're continuing to play and their families are staying behind. And everybody does what's best for them, I guess. But I was lucky in that regard.
Cool. Tom, I know you got a bunch of questions there.
Yeah, Joel, I just want to talk about the last couple, because you're recently retired. What are you, a year out? This is 2 years out right now? This
will be my second kind of winter home, or my second season not playing.
Do you remember, besides jumping around from team to team, which honestly it's not that uncommon when you're in Europe. Guys usually do 1 or 2 year deals, here and there. There's that rarity where guys stay on one team for 4 or 5 years at a time. Do you remember like a specific moment where you might have started questioning, is this the end? Besides the fact that, you were jumping around from team to team, were there any injuries that bit you or anything like that?
No, I didn't. I was pretty lucky throughout my career to only have kind of one serious injury with my shoulder. That was back when my second was born in Dornbirn. And I wasn't at a point where I was considering retiring, but I think the real, like, what am I doing moment was, it kind of happened the second season before. It was my first year. I kind of really struggled. I'd kind of been a pretty consistent scorer. And that was that crazy COVID year. I had a tough start, and then it was starting to get rolling. Everybody got COVID, and I got it pretty bad. And just came back, and I just never felt right after that. And I didn't end up staying with that team. Our team had a tough year. So we transitioned this new team, and it was kind of like a fresh start again. But in the back of my head, I was kind of like, we'll just have to see how this year goes. But I don't know how many more I got in me here. And then the real kind of what am I doing moment was my last year. And I had in my opinion, I guess everyone's got different opinions, but it seemed like everything was going great. Had a great year, and then kind of had a little bit of a slump, and then kind of ended up being the odd man out and taken off the roster. And essentially that's why I went to Germany. And it was at that point, that was kind of a heartbreaker for us. Like I said, we had some friends there and stuff. And that's when I was really like, I'm getting tired of this transition in the middle of the season with 2 kids and a wife. I packed a million things in this van, and then it was just it was a logistic nightmare. And that's when I kind of made that decision to come back and try to dive into this and see where it went. Because I think all that kind of transition is really hard. It's really hard, especially once you mix kids in and all the logistics.
Yeah, it's almost, you feel, I mean, this was just me. I kind of started feeling selfish at the end, where it was just like about me. And it's like, I think it's a little bit easier when you're bringing in millions of dollars a year, as opposed to, I mean, I don't even know anymore. Like, what are top guys at our level, making in Europe right now? 40.
Yeah, 50. I don't know. It really varies in the leagues, I think.
And this is good for guys to hear.
If you play on a top end team, you could in Germany they get paid a lot better. But I mean, if you're in Germany, I think you're making 150, 200,000 euros in your pocket, maybe even more than that.
Top league or second league?
In the first league. Okay. In the first league, you're probably making, that 150 to 200 maybe, and in that league is nice because they're actually willing to sign you to multi-year deals, so you can get 2-3 years. If you're in the Austrian league, if you're on one of the top teams, you could be making 100,000. If you're one of the top players, you could be making 60, 70. If you're on one of the lower end teams, you could be making 50 to 40. And then, kind of entry level guys, you're probably making 30,000, 35,000 euros starting out. So, I mean, it is tax free. That's net. That's right in your pocket. You're not paying rent. You're not paying anything except gas and groceries, essentially. And then same thing, I'd say the salaries in the Del 2 are probably around that, top end guys are making that 50,000, and then anywhere in there, you're probably making, maybe some guys are playing 60. It's crazy, the variance of just what team you sign with. That's the biggest thing. You get on a team that has a good budget, and you might be a guy that's leading the league in scoring on a lower end team, and there's guys that are like a fourth line guy on the top budget team that are making twice as much as you. So it's just kind of a wild thing. So like you said, you're always moving up or moving down. Sometimes I was transitioning to a team because I was moving up. I had a good year. I was going to get paid more. So it's like, hey, these guys can't pay me. I'm going to go to this place. And then, you go there and coach changes or something changes or things don't work out. Team has a tough year. They're going to clean house and you're going somewhere else and you got to prove yourself over and over. So there's definitely a lot to it. And it's not for the faint of heart. With job security, there's a lot of stress. You have a slow start or you're not clicking with your line mates or your coach is not using you the right way. It's like, oh man, what do I got to do this year? And just every year kind of, it takes a toll on you mentally a little bit. So
yeah, definitely. So what's you come back home, you're done. What's your day-to-day looking like right now? Are you mostly on the retail space? Are you on the investment side, commercial? What's your book of business looking like currently?
Yeah, actually things have been good. It was kind of heavy in the residential last summer. I'm actually licensed to do residential, commercial, and farm in Saskatchewan. It's nice in Saskatchewan as well. It changed a few years before I got into it. I got registered the summer before my last season. So I actually did 1 or 2 deals, and then I went and played for the season as a registered agent. And then I think that helped the transition too, knowing I think that's something that guys struggle with, and they keep playing because, they don't really know what to do. And I already knew what I was doing. I was registered. I already had a job to fall back on. So that probably helped the transition and helped make up my mind that I knew what was going to go on and what was going to happen. But yeah, I got registered, so I do all 3. So before all these rates went up, residential was super hot. And then this last spring, things kind of slowed down, and now I've been fairly busy more on the commercial side. Rental properties have been really, really hot. Lots of people are getting into the rental properties just with the affordability thing. There's going to be more and more rentals. There's a huge need for rentals all over Canada, I think, especially in Saskatchewan as well. So been pretty busy with that. And yeah, you just kind of learn as you go. You got some guys that you ask some advice. By each deal, you're going to learn a little bit more about commercial stuff. The residential stuff, after you do a few, it becomes fairly straightforward, pushing those house deals through and helping them along. But you're always just learning as you go a little bit, and just can't be afraid to ask questions and make sure you're doing things the right way, because there's obviously a lot on the line. So
Definitely.
And that's something I think hockey helped with, is having that ability to not be scared to ask questions and make mistakes and learn from them, type thing.
So what's the connection? Are you out on your own, or did you join a brokerage? What
I just joined a brokerage. I joined Remax in PA. I guess I don't know. I've seen a lot of it was a career that I could transition into. I liked the fact that there was almost unlimited earning potential. One of those things, the harder you work, the more time you put in, the more potential there is to make more money. You weren't capped, I guess, not a capped earning potential. Like the concept of having some freedom of schedule, doing my own thing. I like the concept of meeting new people and not having that same everyday monotonous schedule. All that kind of stuff, I think, kind of drew me to it. And then once you get into it and all through your career playing on different teams, the problem solving aspect, meeting new people, like I said, reading the room, reading people, how do you got to react with this guy? How do you got to deal with this agent? How do you got to talk to this guy? Or, all these things to kind of interact with all these different people to help accomplish a common goal of getting that sale closed or getting those people into that house or whatever. I found a lot of skills that I had kind of developed subconsciously just dealing with my hockey career kind of really fit well into this aspect.
Gotcha. Okay. So let me ask you a question. Was there any connection with Remax, or did you just flat out cold call them?
I have some friends that work here. So I was kind of drawn to that. And the reason I went to Remax, I had some childhood connections of some people I grew up with that worked here. And then actually my family's kind of got some development stuff going on in Prince Albert as well. So I think that was kind of a bit of a guiding factor as well. It seemed like a good fit that eventually, once I gained some experience, I could kind of potentially get some business there. And actually there hasn't been I do have a couple things going on, but a lot of it's just been me building myself and just connections through Remax or people calling in or whatever that, just started to build that clientele base. And after a couple of years, you're actually starting to see people that you enjoyed working with. They enjoyed working with you. They're calling you. Maybe you sold them a house. Now they're looking at a revenue property, or they have a business that they'd like some help with, or this or that. So that was kind of part of the thinking, is that there might be a little bit of extra blanket business that a guy could get from some of the family stuff and from knowing some people. But it's kind of just the more as things have progressed, that's been less about what's going on and more I just have really kind of embraced the career and really enjoyed the process and kind of what it's all about, I guess.
Nice. Are they? What's the onboarding process like at Remax? Let's talk about that. Were you out on your own? Were you responsible for bringing in your own business, or did they kind of set you up for success and you just had to kind of just be a?
Yeah, our office has done a good job setting us up for success. So the first thing you got to do is you go get registered. So you got to go take all your real estate courses. I think they're always changing what their mandates are, but I think you got to go write 3 or 4 tests. Pay for the textbooks and stuff, which is a couple grand. If you pass those tests, then you go get licensed, pay your licensing fees, and really you are shop yourself around, decide what brokerage you want to go with. I went with Remax because they kind of have a really good market share in town. Like I said, I had a childhood friend here that I could kind of lean on for some advice early on. And then I'm in a small enough center, and it's my hometown that I just kind of went out on my own. In bigger centers, I know a lot of guys would transition into like a team where you have like a team leader, and he would kind of feed you your leads and give you advice and help stuff. I kind of probably just went out on my own a little bit. And whether you just get 4 calls in or get leads or you know somebody, at first it's tough because nobody really wants to go with the guy who doesn't know what he's doing or do anything. But you just you get those people that are calling in and they don't have that personal connection to you, and they
don't know any better.
Just learn. Yeah, they don't know any better, and you fake it till you make it a little bit, and do a good job for them, and work hard, and make sure you're doing everything right, and then eventually you start believing it too. It's like, hey, I know what I'm doing on this one. Like I did this. This is the process, and these people start trusting you, and then just kind of it's confidence. The confidence thing is no different than hockey, right? You just put in the time, and yeah.
Awesome. So the last question before we wrap things up, obviously, Bob has a couple more things we want to go over. What advice would you give guys right now that are essentially looking, that there's always that moment where you got one foot out the door, but you're not really sure what you want to do, so you chase that next contract. What would you say to guys that are listening to this that are kind of tinkering on the brink, whether it be they don't have the passion anymore. Maybe they're getting a little bit older. Maybe they got bitten by, an injury where it's just getting frustrating. And they have that, what am I doing mentality? What would you give as a life lesson to where, well, I always say play as long as you can until you don't want to play anymore. And what would you say for guys that are looking to making the transition?
I would say have a plan. We do have a lot of off time. In hockey, most days you're at the rink from 10 to 12, maybe 1, you get home, then you have some family time. Use some of that off time. I actually, while I was playing, I ended up getting a diploma from SAIT, doing online course and stuff. So I have a business administration diploma. It's not a degree, but eventually at the end of my North America thing, I said, hey, you know what? I didn't make the couple $1 million. I'm going to have to work after. I better start figuring out, as you progress and, you're hanging out with your buddies as a hockey guy, they're all start talking about stuff they're learning in school. And you're kind of sitting there, you're like, I don't know what these guys are talking about. So I took that time to just say, instead of coming out of pro hockey with a really good Xbox score, I wanted to come out with all that spare time I had. And have something that was going to help me in my next career. So I actually ended up getting that business diploma, and I started taking that and eventually got into the real estate thing. But it's never a bad thing to get educated. And I guess the biggest thing I would say is use some of that off time you have to build towards that next career, so that whenever you feel like you're done, whatever you're going to do, you have a plan and you have something. And you're not just, like you said, playing because you have to, you're playing because you want to. So use some of that off time, whether you're taking online classes, whether you're going to firefighter school in summer, whether you're doing some real estate courses over the winter while you're playing. There's a ton of different options now with online stuff. And, it was a real confidence thing for me that when I was done playing, I wasn't desperate or in a panic because I had a plan. I knew what I was doing.
Nice. Yep, love it. All right, one last question. I know that you're obviously self-motivated. You saw the writing on the wall, right? You're getting towards the end of your career. You saw your family was over there. Obviously, we all would love playing until we're 90 years old, but that's not part of the plan. You're recently retired. Like I said, obviously, you have a lot of passion in real estate. What is your end goal, right? Right now, you're a real estate agent. Are you looking maybe to be a broker one day? Are you looking to, jump in the investment world? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I'm still figuring that out. Right now, I'm just trying to really build my client base and my business to where, I can start having getting to the point right now. My short-term goal is to get enough business where maybe I get to the point where I'm going to start. Maybe I need a secretary so that instead of losing business by doing paperwork and stuff, I can do that, and then I can chase more deals and do more showings and all that stuff. I don't know whether a guy wants to try to run a team one day or be a broker. Haven't quite landed on that yet, but yeah, I think the thing about real estate is you can make a lot of money, but someone told me you're the machine, and the difference between having a job and having a business is the 1 week fishing trip test. If you can go have a fishing trip for 1 week and shut your phone off, is your business going to be fine without you, or is your business not going to be able to function? So I think for me, that would be the goal, is to eventually build myself up enough where I can still generate stuff, still generate business, and find a way to have some people working for me that if I want to go away for a week or 2 weeks, I can do that, and things are just going to keep moving along. So I think that,
nice.
As a general thing, that's kind of a goal of mine to have something like that. And it's not going to be overnight, but that's kind of the long-term goal, I guess.
Cool. Love it. All right. If anyone needs to, or anyone wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
306-980-9826. Joel Broda Real Estate at gmail.com. Joel Broda Real Estate at gmail.com or .com for the website. Website's currently under construction, doing some revisions there, so that should be up and running shortly. But I really appreciate the time, guys, and I think it's great that you guys are trying to make an outlet for guys that are doing the transition. And if anybody ever needs anything or to talk to me about anything, that I always love helping former hockey players. So
awesome. I appreciate your time, and it's actually great to see you're doing well, and you obviously have passion. You're motivated to take this next career and have the success you had in hockey. So great stuff. Tom, any parting words?
No, Joel, thank you. I know we rescheduled a couple times around the holidays. Things are tough with travel and whatnot. So I appreciate you carving out, 30 minutes of your day. And if you need anything, if we could reach out to you, if we have any guys that might reach out to us that are in your market, we'll send them your way. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Tom. And who knows, we could do this again. It's always fun to talk to the hockey guys. That's something you learn. We're a bit of a different breed, and it's always nice to talk to the hockey boys once in a while. So it's good to keep the connections.
Thanks for the time.
Thanks a lot, bro. Appreciate it.
Okay, right on. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tom.